Kelly, that's my husband. Hey, that's my husband. Talk to my husband. Come on. Hit me. Hit me. Get her away from me. To the viewer, Emily Simpson looked like the ideal reality TV transition. A successful attorney turned housewife on the Real Housewives of Orange County, who seemed confident, poised, and witty. She presented a life of privilege and status, white picket fences, designer clothes, the luxury backdrop of Orange County. Her brand was polished. Her title, lawyer, gave her weight. She wasn't just a figment of the Bravo universe. She was real-world educated, articulate, and professional. To talk to me in front of everyone at home. Do you want to yell? Do you want to do that? I'm asking you to have a conversation. Well, you should have done that over there. Don't point at me. You want to go have a conversation. Be rude to me. You're the one being rude. You're being cold and you're being condescending. I'm asking you to have a would you be quiet for a second? No. Off. All right. But underneath the facade, things weren't as smooth as they appeared. Early on, cracks appeared, private marital struggles, questions about how much of her lifestyle was genuinely hers, and an uptick in public feuds and defensiveness. What should have been a story of transformation instead became one of unraveling. Emily's rise hinged on image, but the image began to fail her. Her public persona promised authenticity, but her actions began raising doubts. The tragic irony, the more she tried to appear polished, the more her cracks showed. Emily Simpson entered the Real Housewives of Orange County with a strong professional identity. She wasn't just another glamorous face, but a licensed attorney with a background in law and event planning. That distinction instantly gave her credibility among fans who were used to seeing women defined by relationships and wealth rather than education and intellect. For a while, Emily seemed to be the calm, rational center of the show, the woman who could quote the law, navigate disputes with poise, and balance her family life with professionalism. But reality TV is a demanding arena, and it rewards emotional spectacle far more than quiet intelligence. The tension between who Emily was and who the show wanted her to be began to grow. In the courtroom, truth is built on evidence, logic, and composure. In reality television, truth bends to editing, reaction, and ratings. Emily started to blur those lines. Her confessional interviews shifted from articulate explanations to emotional defenses. Her tone hardened, her patience thinned, and her confidence began to look more like defensiveness. Viewers noticed the change. They began to wonder how much of her attorney role still existed outside the show. Was she still practicing law, or had attorney Emily Simpson become more of a brand than a career? The line between authenticity and image grew hazier with every season. Emily's lawyer identity gave her an edge. She would reference legal terms, caution co-stars about contracts, and present herself as smarter than the average cast member. But over time, viewers noticed discrepancies. Some questioned how active she was in practice, whether she maintained her license, or whether the lawyer label was more marketing than substance. One Reddit commenter wrote, "She's not a full-time lawyer anymore. She uses that badge to attack people who don't have one." Another noted that she seemed smug and judgmental, especially when disputes involved non-lawyer castmates. Credibility matters both on-screen and off. And the decline of hers began when she used her legal background more as a weapon than a tool for fairness. When a reality show participant leans too heavily into prestige without backing it up, the audience senses it. Emily's multifaceted roles, mother, attorney, reality star, began competing for attention. The lawyer began to feel like a costume, a piece of set dressing among the luxury bags. And once viewers sensed that, the sheen began to tarnish. Behind the camera, Emily's marriage to Shane Simpson and her role as mother began to be major plot points. On the show and online, Emily revealed anxiety, tears, and the burden of motherhood. While vulnerability can endear a star to an audience, her narrative made her appear overwhelmed and unfocused. In season 19, Emily and Shane clashed openly over their son Luke's health issues. Luke has always been a picky eater, but it's gotten to the point, I would say over the last year, he just doesn't eat at all. Do you want chips or do you want some goldfish or something? I am not hungry. You're not hungry? 2 months ago, I took Luke to a therapist. She told me that he definitely has ARFID, which stands for Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. The nutritionist was explaining to me he doesn't understand that he feels hungry. Food in general disgusts him. Emily accused Shane of trying to simplify their son's struggles. That conflict was private, but it played out for public consumption. The result, instead of solidarity, viewers saw marital discord. Instead of strength, they saw confusion. Worse, Emily's emotional breakdowns raised questions about her stability. A lawyer who once appeared sure of herself now seemed shaky. One scene had her saying, "I feel like I'm hanging on in every aspect of my life: motherhood, marriage, career." When a person you're meant to respect publicly looks unmoored privately, the damage to image is immediate. Luxury living on reality TV often invites scrutiny. In Emily's case, accusations arose that her lifestyle was funded not by her career or husband's earnings, but by her in-laws. Real Housewives of Orange County star Emily Simpson is setting the record straight, doubling down against claims that she lives off her in-laws' money. Emily is not holding back. During an exclusive interview with US Weekly, Emily slammed the accusation, stating, "If they funded my lifestyle, why the heck would I be sitting on this couch?" She made it clear that she and her husband Shane have both worked hard for everything they have. But though Emily denied the claims and no lawsuit confirmed them, the recurring allegation hurt her authenticity. Viewers pointed out that while she projected independence and success, the apparent backing of her family suggested an alternate reality. The message she sold, self-made, lawyer-turned-star, started to ring hollow. When your narrative is "I made it on my own" and audiences suspect otherwise, the gap between image and truth widens fast. These funding accusations also tied into her feuds. Castmates used them to question her motives. Was she on the show for the glamour or the money? Was marriage a partnership or a prop? When viewers suspect motive before virtue, you've already lost credibility. Emily's role as attorney gave her a platform, but it also set expectations. When she intervened in co-star issues, like giving advice to Shannon Beer about her lawsuit with John Jansen, some saw it as authentic, others saw posturing. What's your take on the John Jansen lawsuit against Shannon? I think the timing of it is very suspect. I think he had an opportunity to ask for the money when they broke up months ago, but I think he meticulously waited to do it while we were filming. When she criticized Shannon for handling the lawsuit publicly, Emily stepped beyond castmate and into legal advisor mode. But audiences didn't buy it entirely. They wondered, does she practice law regularly? Is this help, or is this camera time? The uncertainty damaged the professional sheen she once had. Authenticity is hard to keep in reality TV. Emily's brand of savvy attorney mom started to feel like a persona. When she used her credentials to issue moral judgments, it came off as superiority rather than empathy. That perception shift is dangerous for someone whose entire identity rests on credibility. No reality star is immune to conflict, but Emily's feuds grew more frequent and more pointed. She often took the moral high ground, calling out other women for lack of integrity, while her own story carried question marks. One former castmate, Tamra Judge, accused Emily of faking storylines and being jealous of her marriage. Who out of this group of women do you trust the least? Heather said she would pick Tamra. And I said you. And I'll tell you why I said you. My fear is that if I shared things with you that were really personal and you got mad at me in some circumstance, that you would go look something up. That's a legitimate fear. That hurts my feelings. I know it hurts your feelings because I am fiercely loyal to a fault. I'm always honest with everybody. What have I ever done to her that she would not trust me? Tamara is unpredictable. There's all kinds of articles saying my husband's cheating on me. I don't know where those come from. You have to admit that you do things like that too. You can't just have clean hands all the time and everybody else is a villain. I'm saying that I said I believe this. Wait, now you're upset with me. Now I'm hurt by you. Emily's public posture of supportive friend often crumbled under the weight of her callouts. If you're constantly telling others they're wrong, viewers eventually ask, who told you the truth? When she accused castmates of dramatic behavior or lack of sincerity, that spotlight flipped onto her. The performative empathy, I see your pain, I know your truth, shifted into accusations and judgments. Drama drives ratings. But when someone becomes known more for their fights than their growth, the narrative shifts. Instead of being the smart, calm force, Emily became part of the noise. In today's world, your Instagram is your headline. For Emily, her social media became a double-edged sword. Initially, her posts highlighted her family, her law work, her classy lifestyle. But gradually her feed became reactionary, heated responses to critics, defensiveness about her kids and marriage, and vague but pointed posts aimed at other cast members. One viral moment, Emily and Tamra deciding to urinate in the front yard of a fellow housewife instead of using the bathroom inside during a night out. Simpson, her husband, called it disgusting. The public saw more than just a wild moment. They saw poor judgment and lack of poise. The scene spread fast online, and Emily's attempt to brush it off as rural upbringing did little to stem the backlash. Social media also amplified her insecurities. Fans accused her of bullying others while positioning herself as the victim. One post cited her criticizing Nicole's weight or body image in a way that felt cruel. When your audience turns from supporter to skeptic, the feed that once built you begins to erode you. Reality TV presents life amplified. For Emily, storylines that began as career moments or family issues turned into long-running arcs of conflict. The problem is, when your real life becomes television, the boundaries blur and you can lose yourself. The show repeatedly featured Emily's anxiety about being a mother, concerns about her reputation, and struggles with her husband. But repeated public breakdowns, "I feel lost, I can't handle everything," made her look less like a professional balancing life and more like a person collapsing under the weight of a persona. Her image of confident lawyer mom working within a luxury lifestyle became overshadowed by calls for attention, repeated crises, and slow-burn drama. Life became less lived, more performed. And when you perform your crises for cameras, you risk becoming the crisis. As the seasons passed, Emily's audience perception shifted. She was no longer the smart, stylish attorney housewife. Viewers started seeing her as defensive, contrived, and disconnected. The narrative turned. Instead of trusting Emily to handle things, viewers began to suspect her of misrepresenting things. One recent headline, Emily admitted the season 19 finale left her speechless and uncomfortable. For someone whose identity was anchored in being composed and articulate, that admission signaled a vulnerability she couldn't control. Vulnerability is human, but on reality TV, it's also exposure. Her relationships with fellow cast members fractured. Her social circle shrank. Loneliness crept in. A person once surrounded by fans and cameras began to stand out in a different way, as someone whose persona had outlived its support. Fame had given her attention, but it had taken away community, respect, and authenticity. After several seasons on The Real Housewives of Orange County, Emily Simpson's calm professionalism gave way to exhaustion. The lawyer who once brought reason to chaos began to look overwhelmed by it. Emotional confessions, online defensiveness, and tense reunions revealed a woman under pressure to stay relevant in a world built on drama. Her marriage struggles with Shane became tabloid fodder, and every episode seemed to chip away at her once steady image. The more she tried to control her narrative, the more it slipped away. Fame had turned from opportunity to burden. In the end, Emily's downfall wasn't one explosive scandal, but the slow unraveling that comes from living in constant performance mode. The woman who entered as a voice of reason became another casualty of reality TV's demand for chaos, proof that sometimes the spotlight burns brighter than anyone can handle. Emily Simpson's journey is a cautionary tale about the cost of image over substance. She started with promise, a woman who worked hard, achieved credentials, and entered a world where she could showcase both. But as the show became more important than the profession, and spectacle more valued than truth, the foundation cracked. She tried to have the best of both worlds, attorney and reality star, mother and celebrity, luxury and authenticity. But reality doesn't work that way. The more she leaned into the reality TV version of herself, the less real she became. The more she fought perception, the more she looked reactive instead of proactive. Her story warns others in that world. Credibility is not a prop. Family is not a set piece. Mental health is not a storyline. If you build your career on a public image without solid grounding, you risk one day finding yourself stranded by that image. And when you're in the spotlight, the fall is always public. In closing, Emily Simpson's life on television didn't just elevate her, it exposed her. She sought to have it all on camera: love, career, family style. But she gradually realized that being all things publicly means showing all things, including struggle, anxiety, and contradiction. Her legacy isn't one of triumph, but of warning. Fame gave her a platform, but it also gave her an audience for every slip. The lawyer-turned-star who once seemed in control ended up mired in the chaos she once observed. The drama she entered the door to manage swallowed her whole. Emily Simpson's story is tragic not because of any one scandal, but because the promise of empowerment turned into the perils of performance. When your identity depends on an image you cannot sustain and your flaws become your plot lines, the fall isn't just inevitable, it becomes unavoidable. In the world of reality television, you can script your beginning, but you can't always control your ending. Emily began in control and ended in a web of expectations, scrutiny, and unresolved tension. Her tale reminds us that when life becomes spectacle, authenticity is the first casualty. And for Emily Simpson, the star who thought she could have it all, she may have learned that the cost of being seen so widely is that you must show everything, even when you don't want to.